you ain't bring me on that mafia, Don. You bugging. What's T, nigga? Now, some real shit, though. We got the Ace Bailey scandal. I don't know why. The young nigga got a scandal already. He been in the game he been in the league for 2 games. This nigga been in the league for 2 games. I don't even think he played the 2 games. He played one of them bitches. It's the preseason. It's not even a real season. How you got a scandal? What are you doing? You scamming the off-season coaches, nigga? Now, before we get into this, y'all know how this shit go. I'm gonna ask y'all for 10 likes on this video. That's it. I just need 10. Alright? To help the video get pushed on the algorithm. Boom, bam, 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 bam. Subscribe. Type shit. Let's get into it.
The Ace Bailey scandal was the biggest story of the draft outside of the Mavs landing Cooper Flagg. This kid, who was supposed to be a nice, humble guy, pulling the most arrogant diva stuff before draft night. But it turns out, behind the scenes, it wasn't Ace Bailey. It was his manager, Omar Cooper, pulling the strings, costing Ace millions of dollars potentially and his reputation, but it turns out Ace Bailey just fired Omar Cooper, and it could be linked to a wild conspiracy that makes the entire scandal 10 times more dark and twisted. So Ace met Omar when he moved from Tennessee to Georgia to play high school basketball at McEachern. Now, McEachern is not some normal high school. It is a national powerhouse, ranked #1 in the country in 2019 when Sharif Cooper went there, Omar's son. So Omar basically becomes a gatekeeper in that Georgia to NBA pipeline. But unfortunately for Sharif, something terrible happened after high school. But my favorite way to stay fit is to do a little working out, but I always dial in the diet. What I found for me is that 90% of staying in shape is all about the diet. And I look for convenience, a good price, and most of all, something that tastes good. My Fit Foods has been amazing.
No.
Into a store in Portland or Denver. More stores coming soon.
You're good.
I have ever tried.
You're good. You're good.
Goes to Auburn as a 5-star recruit, but can't play the first 12 games. Because the NCAA is investigating him for improper benefits and contact with an agent. But he is cleared and plays the final 12 games at Auburn, scoring 20 points on 23% from deep. Not great. So every expert tells him to return to school, boost that draft stock. But no. Sharif enters the draft, drops all the way down to the 2nd round, plays a handful of games for Atlanta before getting shipped overseas to China. So from 5 stars to the getting shipped overseas to China. So from 5 stars to the Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace Far East with his dad Omar calling the shots. But despite that, Ace still trusts this guy to be his manager. But what is a manager? A lot of people call Omar his agent, but that's not true. A manager is somebody who a player trusts to have his best interest, guides the player's life decisions, school, endorsements, media, who to trust. Think Uncle Dennis for Kawhi, but they're not all bad. NBA teams estimate some 30 to 40% of lottery picks have a manager. But what happens next puts Omar right up there with Uncle Dennis. Maybe even worse, because at least Kawhi's reputation might be broke, but not his bank account. Omar might have cost Ace millions. So mock drafts had Ace as high as number 3 to Philly. But 1 week before the draft, reports said, hey, he hadn't conducted a single workout with an NBA team. Then the team...
I'm about to say, don't you gotta like go interview, like, I don't know if y'all ever played like the 2K16, 15, 16, like 14, 13s or whatever. But my career and that shit, you have to go talk to the fucking different teams before you get drafted. You don't gotta do that in the NBA no more. That shit like 2K now.
Team at 3 Philly gets a call saying he is
Let's say we
canceling
don't do
his
that
workout
2K no more.
and
We
his
just
meeting
pick
with
the team
him
shit.
last minute. What? People were ripping Ace, calling him an entitled player who could poison your franchise. But Omar said, 18 teams interviewed him. They all saw him work out at the NBA Draft Combine. He is not the first player to decline or cancel workouts, which is true. 1 year before, Alex Sarr refused to meet with the Hawks because he didn't want to go there. So what's the big deal? Well, it is really uncommon for a player to not work out for any team and for his handler to pretty much demand which team he's gonna play for. And what team was that? Well, Mark Stein just confirmed Washington was the lottery team. According to various rivals, that was the preferred landing spot for Ace Bailey. The Wizards? Look, no offense, but it's not like
Who the
Wizards
fuck is on the
are
Wizards,
some
man?
developmental powerhouse like OKC or the Spurs. The Wizards are like an aimless franchise with no success since the 1970s. But Philly? To have a 6'8" forward like Ace,
Yeah, I was about
with
to say,
an
at
all-star
Philly
young
would be
point guard
crazy.
like Tyrese Maxey could be perfect.
Yeah.
So why push hard for DC? That's when the whole thing started to smell off and where this conspiracy theory really kicks into gear. But imagine being a GM on that draft night. You got a top 5 pick ready to invest millions in this kid, and suddenly his camp calls you saying, don't draft us. We won't even show up if you do. You don't pull that unless you think you're LeBron James. But guess what? The Jazz drafted him anyway.
Yeah.
They took Ace at 5 because Danny Ainge said, I'm not going to be bullied by this handler, Omar Cooper. I'm Danny Ainge. And after a little concern that Ace might not report, he did show up. And turns out he was nothing but professional. In fact, the local paper in Utah said from every possible source, Bailey is a humble, hardworking hoop junkie with a heart of gold who is eager to start his professional career and continue learning.
Yeah.
So how did this happen? That's when people found out about Omar Cooper. He posted this weird video of himself online just looking into his camera.
Hey, I don't know if y'all be peeping in the Twitter com, but this is a meme in a Twitter com. This is a meme in a split com. If you get one of these pictures or videos, you know niggas is trolling.
Kind of a red flag for a dude in his 40s. And if Ace had dropped to 8, that would have cost Ace upwards of $10 million.
Hey, matter of fact, y'all young nigga join the Splatcom on Twitter, bro. I'm finna put that shit on the screen and that shit in the description. Y'all young nigga join that shit, bro.
Luckily, the Jazz took him, dropped from potentially 3 to 5, which would have been about $2 million. But the real cost was his reputation, because now the first thing people think when they hear Ace Bailey is this terrible, toxic situation. But shockingly, Ace did not fire Omar. It took something else just before this season to finally kill that relationship. Okay. On September 19th, the Wizards...
No. No, they didn't. Wow. Wow. I know bro's sick as fuck right now. But how is this? Okay, never mind.
They are signing Sharif, Cooper to a two-way NBA contract. A shock to people who follow
Wow.
two-ways, because Sharif was bouncing around Europe the last few years on teams not even good enough to be in EuroLeague, hadn't played in the NBA since 2022, so it's weird. Then on September 24th, 5 days later, Ace finally parts ways with Omar Cooper and is looking for someone else to represent him. Is it possible that Ace thinks Omar used him to get his son back in the league? We have no idea, but the timing is very suspicious.
Yeah.
It looks like Omar might have promised to try to...
Hey, any nigga with this type of coat on,
is very suspicious. It
don't trust him. This nigga can't be trusted. Hell no. No. Hell no. Yeah. Nah, hell no. Fuck no. This nigga can't be trusted for nothing. This nigga got this coat on. Don't leave nothing around this nigga that you love. Anything that you wouldn't want to be missing. If you got a leak, don't include him. Yeah, nah. This nigga, any nigga with this coat, you gotta get the fuck on. No.
looks like Omar might have
You
promised
can't trust these niggas.
to try to funnel Ace to the Wizards without them having to trade up. See, teams who really want a top prospect often have to sacrifice assets to move up in the draft. But if Omar could get Ailey to tank down, they could get him free and clear. Maybe in return, they promise to give his son a second chance at the league. Now, I'm not saying that that's what happened. That's the conspiracy. But it looks like Ace might believe that.
Nah, ain't no way. Just Ace, I believe that shit too, cause that shit came to. This nigga not a rookie. They said he played in NBA in 2022. How the fuck is he getting back in the league on a team that Ace Bailey wanted to go on? It's not making sense to me. And I don't understand why it's the Ace Bailey scandal. Well, I kind of do, cause like it's his manager. But I thought they were saying like Ace Bailey was doing shit. My bad, twin. I thought you was tweaking. You ain't even play a game yet, and I thought you was tweaking. Shit, I'm tweaking.
Based on the timing alone. Now, the more innocent explanation is that Omar created relationships during this whole thing with the Wizards and used that for a chance to get his son an organic opportunity. Maybe. But the timing of this firing is what really makes you wonder. It makes you think that Ace might believe more in the conspiracy than the innocent explanation. I mean, Ace kept working with Omar through criticism, millions lost, draft chaos. That wasn't enough to fire him. But Sharif signs with the Wizards, and then Ace cuts ties with Omar 5 days later. You can't ignore that timing. So we'll see if Ace is as good of a kid as reports say and a player. Then it's great that he's moving on. And it really...
I'm not gonna lie, I seen Ace Bailey play the other night. He's going crazy. He living up to the expectations for sure. I think he dropped like 18 or 16 or some shit like that. And it's a preseason game too. Like, imagine what this nigga finna be doing in the actual season.
Sucks when a young person and their family gets taken advantage of like this. Allegedly. Should be a warning to other
It's a lot of
kids
their
and
ass hooping though.
families.
He was
I
playing
mean, we
against
talked-
Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper was going fucking crazy too. I don't know how much he dropped, but he dropped some shit that night.
So much about draft bust, but sometimes it's not even the player's talent. It's the people steering the ship. Ace Bailey's story might end up being about way more than basketball. It's about how easy it is for young stars to lose control before they've even played a game in the NBA. By the
Ace
way,
Bailey kinda
big
look like a
shout
lizard.
to Cheese Guy 88 for a comment on an earlier video tipping me off to this story. It was a really great idea. But one guy who has not skipped a beat so far is Victor Wembanyama. Outside of injuries, the kid has been perfect. But what about injury?
Fuck
Well, he
Wemby.
just had...
Fuck Wemby. Every time I place a slip on this tall, fucking lengthy bitch, this nigga don't ever want to hit that shit. Fuck this nigga. I'm out.